Hello, today I'd like to tell you about present simple. It is one of the present tenses. It's called present simple, however, it's not always about the present and it's not always so simple to make. However, mostly it's about something that is true now or that has always been true. And the term simple is used because the positive form consists of just one word, as opposed to present continuous where there are two words and present perfect where there are two words as well. So let's start by looking at a real life example. This is my brother Tim's, and let me tell about him. He is 1 year and a half younger than me. He lives in Riga. He also works in Riga, and he is a manager of a small company which sells printing equipment and supplies. He is married and has one child, Toms. Toms is 1 year and a half younger than my son, and Tim's hobbies are riding motorcycles, as you can see, fishing and playing volleyball. He does not do them as often as he would like to right now with his new duties as a husband and a father. However, I'm sure with time he'll get back to them. I'm proud of my brother because he's a loving father and husband and also a wise manager. So that was the real life example in which I used present simple. Now in this presentation we'll also discuss the meaning of this present simple tense, the form, how to make positive, negative sentences, questions, answers. There is also one big exception. This is the verb to be. Then also how to spell the present simple correctly, and when do we use it, and what are the signal words. And then you'll have also the tasks for which I invite you to prepare a notebook and a pen or a pencil and really take your time to stop the video when there is a task and try to do it yourself first and then check the answers. Okay, so here is task number 1 already, and so please answer a question: what do you do every day? When you're ready, let's check the answers. So you might have written something like: I wake up at 7 a.m, I brush my teeth, I have breakfast, lunch, dinner, I cook, I wash the dishes, I work, I study, I watch TV, I surf the net, I do some exercises, and I go to sleep at 11 p.m. So the meaning of this first use, if we can illustrate it with a timeline, it would look like this. In the past, 3 years ago, I used to dance almost every day, and now I go to jazz dance classes on Fridays, which is true. And in the future, I'm going to take more dance classes. I hope so. This is my intention, plan for the future. So this is something which happens regularly. So it happened one Friday I went to jazz dance classes, another one, and so on. It's a regular action happening in the present. So task number 2. Please answer the question: what do you do? Take some time to write down your answer. Then when you're ready, let's check. So this is a little bit tricky question, because if I would ask you what are you doing now, you should write I'm sitting, I'm learning English, and so on. But if I ask you what do you do, I'm actually asking what's your profession. So you should answer I'm a student, a designer, a lawyer, an artist, a bookkeeper, and so on. And then the meaning of this use is as follows. So in the past I was a student, in present I am a teacher, and in future Of course, I can change my profession first, but at the end, I'm probably going to be a pensioner. It's not a regular action, it's a state. I'm a teacher. It's my profession. And then I'd like to invite you to do task number 3, which is the third use of present simple. And you have an example sentence. The sun rises in the east. And I invite you to think about how could we illustrate it with this timeline. How could we illustrate this sentence? So when you're ready, let's check your answer. So it's just simply true. It was true in the past, it's still true, and it will probably, most probably be true in the future. So that was meaning number 3. Let's talk about the form of this tense. You might have noticed that there is one verb to which we sometimes need to add the ending s. So rise, rises, go, goes, and so on. To make a sentence in English, we also need to add who is doing. Sometimes it's enough. Sometimes we also need to add some kind of extra information. So, for example, the sun rises in the east, I go to dance classes, and so on. So, all of these 3 sentences are in present simple, so we can add as much information as we want. And task number 4 for you. Please think of how could we write positive sentences, and just by looking at the picture, use the word to play and to play the violin. That would be this whole sentence. And when you're ready, let's check your answer. So first, you should start with writing who, then the verb, and then this extra information. So here are the answers. You can see that he, she, it. This is the third person. For that we add the s ending, and the rest are the same. This is how we can sum up the positive sentences in one table. And let's go on. The next task is about negative sentences. Think about how could we create the negative sentence. When you're ready, let's check the answers. So here is a simple table, and you see that we use this word not after do or does. And there's another kind of trick which you need to remember, that this verb gives this s ending to this do or does. Let's go on. The negative sentences also have a short form. Please take a moment to think about it. When you're ready, let's go on. So here it is. There's just one form for these negative sentences. Again, the same rule with this s. And the next task for you is to think how to write a yes-no question in present simple. And when you have some ideas, let's continue. So we move this do or does before the doer, before who. We can also say that we add this do or does in front of a positive sentence. Yes, and again, the same rule applies here when the s ending goes from the verb to this do or does. And if you have any kind of question words, they go in front. So why do I play the violin? Where do you play the violin? How often does she play the violin? And so on. And the yes-no questions can have short positive answers and short negative answers. First, I invite you to think of 4 short positive answers and to write them down. We need these short answers to sound more polite. So if we just say, do you go to the cinema? You say yes. It's a little bit not so polite. So it's better if you say yes, I do. And these short answers do not have any kind of short form. And here's how they are formed. Notice that we do not repeat the verb. And please take a moment to think about how to form these negative answers. And when you're ready, let's check them. So here it is. We usually use this short form at the end. We just looked at how to create positive, negative sentences and questions and answers with any kind of verb. But there is one huge exception, and this is the verb to be. You might know this verb from the present continuous tense already. I have given you the first example, I am an artist. Using the same sentence, do it for the rest of the pronouns. And when you're ready, let's continue. So here are the answers. The verb to be has 3 forms, as you can see. We can sum it up in a small table like that. And the next task for you is to think how to create negative sentences using the verb to be. And then when you're ready, let's check the answers. So here they are. We just add this word not. Notice that we do not use do or does to create negative sentences with to be. The negative sentences with to be have short forms. Write them down, please. If you're ready, let's go on. So this is the first option how you can write the short forms. In this option you shorten the verb to be. And the second option is as follows. You should shorten this word not. However, the first person I stays the same. So let's continue with yes/no questions using the verb to be. Write down your ideas, and when you're ready, let's go on. So here are the answers. Notice that if you have the positive sentence, I am an artist, in the questions we just need to move this to be to the first position in front of who is doing the action. And if you have any kind of question words, we need to put them in front. So, why are you artists? Where is she an artist? How often is he an artist? Or any kind of more logical sentences. Yes, and of course the questions have positive and negative answers. Take a moment to think about the positive answers. When you're ready, let's check them. Here they are. They do not have a short form. And also notice that we do not repeat this an artist or any kind of other information which is following. And think about the negative answers. When you're ready, let's check the answers. So this is the one option how you can shortening this word verb to be. Yes, and the other option is to shorten this word not, and the first person stays the same. Okay, let's go on. How to add the ending s to verbs correctly, because sometimes there are some changes in the spelling. So task number 12, I invite you to group these examples of changes to the third person into several groups. Let's see how many groups you can find there. And when you're ready, let's check the answers. So there are actually 4 groups because there's one exception. The first group is the verbs which simply add s. Then there's another group which adds es, if you noticed, and then there is another group where there are some more changes happening where we need to change y into I and then add this es and have changes to has, which is an exception. Here are the spelling rules. Yes, for most of the verbs we just simply add s when the verb ends with the following endings x, o, double s, ch, sh, then we add this es. And when the verb ends with a consonant, which is followed by y, we change y to I and then add es. There's this one exception, as I mentioned already. So when do we use present simple? Task 13 is to group these sentences in several groups again, according to the meaning. And when you're ready, let's check the answers. So the first sentence would go with this one. My sister often plays tennis. He goes to the swimming pool every week. Then the next one, the earth goes around the sun, would go with water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. And then we are left with Anne lives in London and George works in a bank. So the meaning in these sentences changes. We discussed a little bit of it already at the beginning of presentation. So could you come up with a rule? When do we use present simple? That's your next task. Think about these three cases. When do we use present simple? And when you're ready, let's check. So these are the three basic uses of present simple. First, it is used for regular actions or habits. Then for something that is true for a long time. We can also call them these long-term situations, permanent situations. And also for something that is always true, or we can say that these are facts. So for example, the regular actions where we had these two sentences before, and also my example about going to jazz dance classes. Then the actions which are true for a long time are as follows, and also the one I said about myself, I'm a teacher. And then these facts are the third group. And your next task is to find these signal words. These are words in the sentence which show you that you need to use present simple. When you're ready, let's check the answers. There are only 3 signal words, and the rest of the groups do not have these signal words at all. So the signal words are used only for the first meaning of present simple. These are regular actions, and these are words which show how often something is done. So these can be the adverbs, starting from never, which is 0%, to always, which is you're doing something 100%, always, 100% of times. And this can also be days. So on Mondays I go to the swimming pool. Every week I go jogging, or I go to dance classes 3 times a week, which is not true right now. But these are just examples for you to see that we use present simple with these kind of signal words. Let's sum up what we have learned about present simple today. So this is the way how to form positive and negative sentences, questions and answers. The most important thing is that we use this do or does for negative sentences and questions, and also for the short answers. And then you have to remember about this S ending for he, she, it. And then there's this one exception for which we do not use the do or does to make negative sentences or questions. And there are 3 forms: is, are, and am. For the spelling, there are these 4 main groups, as we discussed. And there are these 3 cases when we use present simple. These are regular actions or habits, long-term situations or situations which are true for a long time, and facts or situations or states which are always true. And then to talk about the regular actions, we use the signal words like adverbs, never, rarely, sometimes, usually, and so on. We can use also the phrases with every or days, or saying how often, how many times per day or per month we do something. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, you're welcome to watch the video again. Consult Google or a grammar book, or of course consult me when you see me.